Hello friends, I'm Colonel Failure and you're back with Transport Fever 2, where we're going to be tackling the Peninsula. For those unfamiliar, the Peninsula is probably the best map that I made for Transport Fever 1, and the reason it was the best is because it was really difficult. It's based off 3 peninsulas that are maybe not truly peninsula because some of them have got a bit of water going over the top, but the terrain is incredibly challenging. Now, you'll probably notice that this map has no towns, no industries, no cities, no roads, nothing of any kind that would prove to be useful in the development of the map. That's because we're going to be placing them as we go. This is going to be a project map where we abide by 3 pretty simple rules. Firstly, traffic. Lots of it. We want as much traffic as we can get our hands on. Secondly, when I switch editing modes off, it's got to be able to make some money. And thirdly, nothing bad will be built. That's no dodgy junctions, no rough bridges, and certainly no lumpiness that is unsmoothed. So here is our initial bit of land that we're going to be working on. So we're down on the island that last time around, or I should say the peninsula that last time around, was used for farming. Not this time it isn't. No, this is going to be our mining peninsula. We're going to run a combination of both iron and copper from here, and obviously, given that there's no mines here already, I'm going to be placing those first. Now, we will be starting off using edit mode to place things, and then probably using no costs in order to place track and so forth. This is not about capital expenditure, it is about running as much as humanly possible, and then afterwards, when you set it in motion, that's the point at which you should go, does this make any profit? Now, today we're going to be focusing on coal. Nothing but coal, all the time. So switching it on, the coal mines aren't actually going to do anything. So we're not going to hit profit just yet. But, you know, wait and see. I've got a plan, people, and we're going to ride with it. This opening spinning shot is possibly a little longer than I intended it to be. I could edit that out, but no, I mean, this is, as you can, wibbly. Yeah, this is a rather marvelously edited video, even though I say so myself, and that's so that I can cram in an awful lot of building into a shorter amount of time. The amount of time this particular episode took to film, I know I use the word loosely, is around 3-4 hours, something like that, of gameplay tinkering. Yeah, it allows you to see the fruits of labour without having to witness the labour itself. There's a metaphor in there somewhere. Anyway, we start out. I'm going to want at least, I know exactly how many I need. I want 3 mines that are hoiking coal out of the mountainside here. And they're going to work on 2 separate levels, 2 of which will be on the same level, and the 3rd will be slightly lower down. This should give us plenty of room in order to make a sizable amount of traffic. And for those of you who remember the original series, this is the New Vegas area of the map, so it will be named New Vegas once again. We'll keep some consistency with that regard. How many cities I end up with? I don't know. I'll probably try and get to as many of them as possible, to be honest. But I always felt like, in the last time we took a swing at this, there was much more that could be had out of it. So there we go. Here's the 3rd mine going in now, and you can see it's on a slightly different level. And there's a couple of reasons for that. Firstly, I want to use the other side of the island to do iron ore. But primarily it's because I wanted to do a little back and forth zigzaggy route going up and up the side of the mountain, rather than the helix approach, which is where I will traditionally do things. Now, the goal is to get to the point where I've got, I don't know, 20, 25, 30 trains just hauling coal out to the freight hub area, which we're not at yet. I'm still tinkering around, decorating my mountain. Oh no, I'm making a very tasteful mountain pass area through which I'll run some track. There you go. See, this bit here that I'm doing now, that's where the hub's going to be. Now, the hub is going to need more development than I get to today, but putting it in the right place is a good way to start out. So yeah. Make it look this. I mean, this is what I mean by no bad builds. If I'm going to cut away bits of mountain, afterwards they're going to need re-smoothing and re-patching and all of this kind of malarkey in order to make it look somewhat plausible. Right, onto the hub station. Good show. In fact, onto stations, full stop. Good show. So this is going to link out to steel manufacturing, which will be further down this island. Now, exactly where I'm going to put that, haven't decided yet. But there's also going to need to be a town in here as well. So New Vegas itself will be nearby. I'm going to use various mods in order to convey the sense of workers working, or at least travelling to work. So it's not about these mines making profit from passenger transport. It's more about just making it look like they're not fully autonomous mining entities. But that's a job for later, that one. Yeah. I'm going to push loads of jobs to later because, frankly, doing it all in one go is far too much work. No. That's tomorrow's kernel problem. Today's kernel problem is get the whole thing set up in the first instance. Now, one of the mods that I've got switched on is that trains do not auto-flip. So if your locomotive is at the front of your train going into the station and then you back out of it again, well, the locomotive's going to stay at the back. So I'm deliberately working this as a setup that has loops built into it, so that the trains will flip direction, because that means that only at the hub end will they actually turn around. That's the thinking. That's the goal there. I don't know how well it's going to work out, but we're going to give it a solidly good go anyway. But because it's only got one end of the route where it backs up on itself, it means that the trains routinely will end up having the loco on the front or the back. It won't always be front or back. It should work out quite nicely, because the goal here is the visual. As much as we want to make a profit out of it when we turn it on eventually, the goal is, let's have something that's fun to look at, and that means a bit of variety in the way that trains are set up. Right, okay, here we go. So you spotted the first back and forth station. So basically this is a mod that allows stations to be as little as 20 meters in length, and then you just plunk that at the end of the line, make it a stop, then you head back up in the opposite direction, going further up the mountain each side. Now, I was a little bit disappointed to have to fill in this area. I filled it in so that I could put my little turnaround point in there. There it goes now. So you see it registers as a station, purely because that would have been a lovely area to put a little bridge span across. Now, I mean, I might be a bit disappointed by that, but frankly, this map lends itself to the cheeky tunnel / cheeky bridge approach like nothing else. Very rarely will you encounter anything that has as many opportunities for some short tunnel or bridge action as this map. When I built this originally, so this is exactly the same height map that I used in the original Transport Fever, but when it rendered the height map out, it came out looking a right state. It was very obviously not real. It's a video game, so obviously it's not real, but it was very, very obviously not smoothed out properly. Well, the way that it's read, so I had to spend a couple of hours basically with the smoothing gun hosing down different areas of the map to make it look, at least as though nature had built it, rather than a bit of poor gradient action in Photoshop. This time around, however, the same base height map has come out with everything looking like jagged rocks, which is fantastic. To my eye, at least, and your mileage is going to vary, but to my eye, it certainly looks pretty authentic. The only thing to look out for, obviously, is when you start tinkering around with stuff, is making sure. See, look, I missed a bit there. That side of the mountain, no. See, that going to need a bit more smoothing, because it's very obviously sliced down, and the texture of the mountain makes it look sliced down. Oh yeah, sidings. Did I mention sidings and freight yards and all of that kind of stuff? Yeah, that's very much what we're about here. But rather than just set them up with scenery alone so that they're dead static beasts there, we're going to get some movement going on in there as well, even if only in a fairly rudimentary fashion. And I'd be lying if I said this wasn't in part inspired. There you go, inspired by Unknown Player and the phenomenal build work that he's done already. If you've not seen Unknown Player's coal mine, it's magnificent. There's some very, very clever ideas going on in there, and at most I've ripped off maybe one or two, but beyond that I haven't ripped off any. No, I've tried to do my own spin on things, and my own spin on things is that yeah, okay, go to town, do a bit of high detailing, go and build whatever you like, make it dramatic and interesting and visually stunning and the rest of it, but at the end of the day has to make a profit. You can't you or at least break even, let's put it that way. You can't get away with setting up a network that looks flamboyant as heck, and then you kind of go, what's your annual turnover? Oh, minus 120 million. Kind of go, yeah, that's not right. So even though I'm using dirty cheats and hacks and stuff like that, I've set myself a rule of, well, eventually it's got to break even. So this coal mine section, with the number of trains that I'm going to stick on it, and there's going to be 3 distinct routes, hence 3 distinct platforms. It's I don't know if this is going to turn a profit, because I'm going to run far too many trains on this for it to be profitable. But each one of them should be full if I manage to get the balancing act correct. Between the iron and the coal, and then ship that out to the steel mill accordingly, and get a suitable amount of demand running to ensure that has plenty of reason to be manufacturing like a beast. So yeah, I don't know if this coal section is going to pay off or not. It should come close, because the stuff that I'll end up running is relatively cheap. Look at that, see, that's coming out nicely. Yeah, it really doesn't take very much to get stuff looking nice. But when I talk about no bad builds, it means, if you build a curve in there somewhere and you kind of go, you know what, that could be better. You'll see that this is the second swing at this particular junction. First time around, of course, we went straight out of the tunnel towards the station. This time, I've kind of gone, actually, let's make that curve round to the side there a little bit neater, and then make everything else work off that. And the end result is better. And there's a good example of this coming up right now. There you go. Look at that. Right? No, pitiful, rubbish. No, look, it's if you're snapping alongside the track like that, it just doesn't end up looking good. Look at it. Look, you're going to go, oh no. So instead, if you come off here where it looks like it's a straight line, you end up with a far neater junction as a result of that. Now, one of the things that Transport Fever does time and time again is, if there is a change in elevation while you're doing a junction, is that it will have flipping ballast and sleepers and who knows what clipping through onto the rails, and it just looks dreadful. We're not doing any of that. No. Lumpiness is not welcome in this dojo. We will not be working lumpy. Right, now, down at the bottom mine here, the idea is that actually we run each route multiple times. You'll see what I mean in a minute when we start route laying here. But the goal is that we'll have multiple trains down here at once. Now, I don't want to double track the entire journey up the side of the mountain, because that feels implausible to me. It feels like a use of money that would not necessarily make sense. So instead, I'm forming a little queuing area here on the approach, so that we can have trains ready to either load or ready to go up the mountain. See, look at that. Look, that looks great. Yeah, that looks pretty good too. Right, we're routing. Okay, here's Route 1, Alpha, almost certainly. Now, there's the point-to-point, which is fine, but it's not necessarily what we want. Now, signalling is going to be an ongoing challenge here, because I'm using the different lines in an unconventional way. We're not doing up, down, or anything like that, or even up, down, down. Or no, none of that business. It'll be up, down, up, down, up, and so on. Yeah, there you go. Memorize that. Write it down on a piece of paper. There'll be a quiz later. And the reason for that is I want it to look organic. I want it to look unexpected. Now, obviously, if you sit there and watch it moving for any length of time, you'll get a feel for which are up lines and which are down lines. But for the main part, it will look like a bunch of people working and moving freight as it needs to be moved on the lines that are most appropriate. So you'll see here I'm actually making the route do 2 laps. So I'm plumbing it in, doing 2 laps so that it uses different lines on each lap, and therefore it's going to pan out nicely. Oh, hold on, I should probably put in a trigger warning about now. If you're one of those people who like to see the wagons and locomotive come from the same country, yeah, look away. Well, you should have looked away already. We're running some nice SNCF kind of low budget diesel shunty kind of fellas, and then we're using classic Great Western Railways open wagons to haul stuff around. Why? I thought it looked nice. That's why. Also because I liked the variation. Like, obviously the Great Western stuff is a mod. Actually the logo is a mod as well. But I liked the variation in wagon type that sold that this was all part of one company, but at the same time you're not just using the same wagon repeatedly over and over again. So there you go, the red route is done. The yellow route is our second one. It uses the same kind of idea, where we're going to be running through multiple times in order to use multiple different tracks. Now, where I've got sidings in there, I'll place some scenery on those parts, a look of, parked up wagons or shunters or that kind of behaviour, in order to, once again, sell that this is an operating rail network. And this is a kind of a micro network all its own, but it should look good. And using the loop to get things out of the station to come back the other way. Not only is that more authentic if you want the train to continue facing in the same direction, but actually it allows me more space to queue things up, so I can have queuing going out of the station as well as going into it. Yeah, probably, because queuing's cool, friends. Especially if you park it up and you've got your train queued up there in a way that you're not certain whether it's waiting to go or whether it's parked up there as scenery. And to the casual eye, it shouldn't be entirely obvious. Right, job done. So here's what we've built. Yeah, I'm using one of my before and after fadey cutaway kind of things here because, I did it first and therefore it's kind of a trademark at this point. So you can see what we've done to the side of the peninsula here. A little bit of expansion going on, but by and large we've just kind of slotted it in to make it sit nicely. So I think that looks quite nice. Now we will tackle the other side of the peninsula as we talk about iron ore and getting that into the same distribution hub. So as we look at it now, it's quite obvious that the distribution hub is still over on the left side of the island as we look at it now. Maybe it will need to move, but that's half the point. One project at a time, and even if that project uses up multiple parts I have finished, I can put a fork in one area. So here you go, this is it moving. Yeah, feel the speed, friends. And the other thing I didn't point out there, that perhaps I should have done, but I'll point it out now, so then it's all good, is that the speed limit that I've set to every single track here is 20 kilometres an hour. Because I want stuff moving slowly. Rather than... it's the braking speeds more than anything else. The speed at which trains in Transport Fever slow down is excessive. It comes to a screeching halt. It's almost like me playing Train Sim. Is like they wang the emergency brake on and throw something heavy out the side in order to slow down quickly. No. You see, I want them just gently easing their way around here. And then because of the volume of trains that I've got going on, they're going to be sitting around for a while. And some of it will be in motion, and some of it won't be. Now these little red numbers, which are the default, they're part of the original game, the base game. I've built a couple of those actually hauling trains around, but I've also got one loco that has a route that is just mad. It goes in and out of various sidings with here he is now. Look. Goes in and out of various sidings looking like it's dropping stuff off or picking it up, and Sadly, there isn't yet the functionality to be able to do that, but it doesn't really matter. The goal here is to make it look like it's a working yard. Now, the reason I've used this loco rather than more of my SNCF friends is that I haven't got those as placeable assets. See, you want to be able to plunk it down. You want some parked up so that you're never entirely sure, actually, is this one going to move or is it not? Actually, it's incredibly obvious when you're at this angle, because the ones that move, they got smoke coming out of them. The ones that don't, they haven't got smoke coming out of them. Yeah. No, see, if you've got any level of eye for detail there, it's largely a waste of time. But I think it looks good, so shut up. Anyway, as you can see, look, you got stuff rolling around, and you're never entirely sure what's going to move and what isn't. I think a little bit more scenery is needed, and at this stage, probably another hour's worth of investment in this coal stuff to place a few more assets, to stick some texturing down. Coal mines you wouldn't necessarily expect to be part of a green, verdant, pleasant valley kind of experience. It would be a little bit more run down, it would be a little bit more rough and ready. The other thing missing is trees. There are no trees anywhere on this map at all. Now, there's a plus side to that, which is that it doesn't slow down the frame rate too much, and that I can get more assets of an exciting, interesting, and scene-setting kind of fashion going. But frankly, I will be going for it with the tree gun as well, because it's incredibly useful at generating environment, generating an atmosphere, of filling in some of the areas where you think, yeah, I've kind of seen that texture a few times, and trees can break that up nicely. I'm focusing on this one area because this is the high density area. Now, I'm going to caveat that quite heavily with this is going to break. In fact, while I was just recording end sections like this, where I kind of go, oh, let's do a bit where I show it in motion, I broke it so badly that it took me basically an hour and a half to unpick it. I had like 8 trains all trying to get into the same section of track at the same time from both directions. Only happens in one place, and it doesn't happen there anymore. I can tell you that for nothing. We'll review it at the start of the next episode, so you can see exactly what's what, and I'll probably do the decorating in that period as well. You're going to go, oh look, he's moving, look. Yeah, I know, it took you by surprise, despite the fact I telegraphed it about 5 minutes ago. Anyway, I'm in Colonel Failure. This is episode 1. I'm aiming for 20 episodes or fewer to get through the entire map. Each episode will be a project of this kind. Sometimes passenger, sometimes freight. But if you want to play along at home, your map's on the workshop there. Good luck with it. And so is the collection of mods that I'll be using. Let's hope they're not deleted so that it breaks the whole thing. Let's hope. Catch you next time. Thanks for watching. Cheerio. Well, there you go, an episode 1 for you right there. And I said at the end of the last series that I was planning to do something a bit different with this one. Here's something a bit different with this one. I want to take the time to actually build something, big, splendid, magnificent, without it taking, what you've seen there would have taken me 3, 4, 5 videos to get through under the previous regime, and then I would have rushed through it to get the results done in a timely fashion. And so you'd have ended up with something that didn't look as good, that took ages to get to. So we're going to avoid doing that. Now, as mentioned, if you want to play along at home, the map is available on the Steam Workshop. I'll have a link for you down there. Good luck with it. You will need to use editor mode in order to place anything at all. It will not auto-generate cities, industries, roads, any of that business. It is too difficult for the game to figure that out. So you're going to have to do it yourself. That'll be fun, won't it? Anyway, I'll be back next week. We're going to do one of these per week, and should be a rare old adventure. So subscribe now. Do it now. Press the subscribe button. That way you can join in with the fun and the frolics and the inevitable disco that is apparently playing underneath everything that I'm saying these days. Apart from now.